Welcome to the bonus video where I am going to give you a personal tour of my working pantry. I have food storage throughout our entire house. We live in a small house and we had to make it all work for us, and I'm going to show you how to do the same thing. This is my kitchen, obviously. I'm not going to show you everything in my kitchen, but I am going to give you some things that maybe you haven't thought about. So I'm going to start with my shelves. I took down our cabinets, we put up these shelves, but I still needed it to work for me. So we have like flour and regular sugar and brown sugar in these, and we keep any of like our produce, fruits, vegetables type things. In here we have squash and onions from our root cellar right now. If we ever buy any store-bought bread, I normally put it up in there. The bread that we make at home doesn't last that long, so I don't even bother putting it up there. When our chickens are laying, we put our eggs in here, but here we have our water glassed eggs, and I have multiple of these containers downstairs in my root cellar, and as we go through one, I just bring another one up. And the recipe for those is in my root cellar guide, tagged below in the bonus worksheets. So I also have on the other side like rice and oats, and I just fill up these containers from my short-term storage as we go through them. The other thing that I'm going to show you is what I have right next to my stove to help me while I'm trying to cook from scratch. Okay, and so right by my stove, I keep, this is a little salt keep, but I actually store our homegrown garlic in it because garlic is something that we use all the time. Almost every meal that we starts with garlic, and normally I have a braid of onions up here too. We're running low on our onions though. This is a big container of lard. If you don't know what lard is, it is rendered pig fat, and we use it in place of oils in a lot of our recipes for sauteing, like vegetables, frying stuff, or even in baking. And we keep our olive oil or avocado oil in it. And I think it's just super handy when you're learning to cook from scratch to have all these things right where you are cooking so you remember to use them. This is kind of a hard angle to show you guys everything, but right off of our kitchen, this is the stairs that go down to our basement. And we just had this big empty space here, and so we figured why not put shelves here and continue our food storage, because why not? I'm going to walk you through everything that I have here. It can kind of get to be a catch-all for all the homesteady things too, but for the most part, I can just swing around here, grab all my dry ingredients, and head back to the kitchen. So let me show you what I have. These are all just empty containers for when I buy something else that I need to store. All the containers are right here. I just have some leftover rice that didn't make it down the stairs into our short term to refill the kitchen supply. I keep all of our canning lids that are still in good condition because you can use these for your dry goods. You don't have to seal them or anything, so they're perfect for that. So I just keep a bag of them in here. I have dried popcorn. We actually grow our own popcorn, and some dried chickpeas. And then this is just a bag with like a funnel. When we use this more when obviously the garden is coming in, but some reusable produce bags. And then these are some of our homegrown beans that I have shelled. I still have a whole entire grocery bag to do yet, but I haven't had time. And then my wheat mill and some wheat, and then back here is all of my garden seeds, and then I obviously have tons. Big bag of zinnias and, you know, like peppers. These are all seeds, obviously besides these, that are from my garden that I saved this year. Hanging up there is goldenrod that I foraged from just around our house. That brown paper bag is all of our green bean seeds from last year's garden. Let's see here. This is our freezer alarm. I have one in each freezer, so if we had a freezer go out, this would alarm us. This is some dehydrated sourdough starter. If you are going to keep a sourdough starter, I highly suggest dehydrating some. All you have to do is lay it out on a baking dish and it'll dry super fast. Do it overnight or whatever. Put it in a baggie. I have it just in this too for pests. So if you ever ruin your sourdough starter, you always have a new one. And this row is kind of more like my home dehydrated goods and some medicinals. So we have like, these are some paprika peppers out of my garden that I haven't done anything with them yet. These are some dehydrated bell peppers, some chamomile flowers. This is some dehydrated celery. You can see in my dehydrated foods, I do not seal the containers. I do not put oxygen absorbers in, nothing like that. I just keep it super simple. Everything keeps really well. I've never really had anything go bad doing it. This is from the Appalachian Homestead. Shallon sent me some sunflower seeds. This is celery powder. So I dehydrated the leaves of celery and ground it up, and so now we have some powder to flavor soups or stocks or anything like that. This is echinacea from my wildflower patch. I add this when we do like elderberry syrup. It's a good immune booster. And then some elderberries that I also foraged from around my house. This is some dehydrated zucchini. I haven't really even used it. I thought I'd use it more for soups, but I have it. This is dehydrated chicken of the woods mushroom that I found on a tree outside my house. Some pumpkin seeds and some bulk cashews. I like to buy bulk foods that are on sale from Azure Standard, and this was one of them. And then some extra popcorn, some corn that we grew, and then some cornmeal. Obviously, you can see it's kind of hard to get to all of this. Our plan is to put a rolling ladder, but we haven't got that far yet, and so hopefully soon we'll be able to do it because I'm kind of like shimmying along over the steps right now. Okay, now we're gonna move to the second row. The second row is a lot of noodles and grains. So we have elbow noodles, orzo, a wild rice blend, some barley that I get from a local farm here, and then just different kinds of noodles and quinoa way down there. I have a big thing of polenta and all different kinds of beans up here. So we have like garbanzo beans, pinto, black, kidney beans, navy beans, all different kinds of beans. And then way up on top, see if I can get it. I keep little oil lamps in case of emergencies. And that is pretty much it for going down my stairs. And again, we just made this out of 4 shelves that we just would have had an empty wall. So maybe you can do this in a space in your house. Okay, welcome to my root cellar. I'm sorry it's dark and dingy down here, so I hope that the lighting is okay and that you'll be able to see everything. This is where I keep all of my canned goods, our produce, and our store-bought goods, our short-term layer. Everything is down here. If you have a basement, it is the perfect spot to store food, and you'll be surprised at how long you actually can store food. So now where do I start? Let me take you to the wall to start with. We put these hooks up and I braid my onions to store, and they pretty much store all winter long. I have shallots, I have onions. You just have to periodically, let me set you back down, check them. Ooh. You just have to periodically check them to see if there's any sprouting. Just cut those ones off and use them first. Remember, sprouting is okay. When you are storing food through the winter, sprouting just means spring is coming and we can start growing again, and the energy that this bulb has is going to go to making a sprout. So it's okay, we can still eat them. These are all my canning lids. I just hang them on a string and put them here, my potato bag. So this is all the canning that I do. I'm not even gonna say in a year. I try to can enough for 2 years. The reason why is because 1 year I can have a stellar tomato harvest, let's just say. And then the next year I could get blight and have terrible weather and not get any tomatoes. And so if I can enough for 2 years, that can usually get me by enough that I still don't have to go to the store, but I'll have enough for a bum year. The first row is just corn and green beans. Super easy. I don't do anything fancy. They're all just canned on their own. This second row right here is all tomato products. Salsas, enchilada sauce, tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, stewed tomatoes, you know, just plain tomato sauce. And I don't think I can ever go back to store-bought tomato sauce after having this, so I always make sure that one's full. This row of excess tomatoes, this right here is ghee. Ghee is a shelf-stable butter, I guess. You just take butter and you boil it down, remove the milk solids, dump it in here, and you have butter on your shelf. I have all my canned meats, and I'll show you. These are probably the least appetizing thing that I can, but they make the quickest meals. This one is just cubed chicken, and this one is cubed pork. We get our pigs butchered that a friend raises for us, and it comes with so many pork chops. And so I actually just cube up the pork chops and can them, and it gives them a whole new life. Here I have all of my stocks over here. And then this is my fruit level. For fruit, I can peaches, applesauce, apple pie filling, pear sauce, pears. And that's about it for that level. The top level, we have our favorite thing, our home canned maple syrup. We actually tap this on our farm. Well, not our homestead, but my husband farms outside of our homestead, and it's on his farm. And so we do this, which will be coming up here like next month. So this is always great. We have some candied jalapenos. This is called cowboy candy. The best thing. I can the peppers, and you can eat them with cream cheese on crackers, but I also can the sauce that's left over. I actually double the sauce recipe just so I can have this. Pour it over like any type of pork in your crock pot. It's to die for. The best pulled pork sandwiches are with cowboy candy. I have some jams, more cowboy candy. I have some pickled peppers and just some pickles from the cucumbers in my garden. This is all stuff from my garden. I do not buy really anything from other farmers because we're able to grow so much here on just our 9 acres. Obviously you can tell my lights shut off on me, the perks of old farmhouse things. I haven't showed my buckets up here. In that one I have, the first one I have like my Mylar bags and my vacuum sealer and things like that. This one is all of my canning stuff, extra lids, any attachments that I have for my KitchenAid mixer that I use when I can, stuff like that. This one is all my homestead activities. Soap making, you know, like all my extra like beeswax and stuff like that. Trying to think what else might be in there. Stuff to bottle kombucha, all in there. This one is coffee. Now I talked about it in the module that there is a big controversy about Mylaring coffee, needs to be green coffee beans, whatnot. That is just regular coffee, regular ground coffee. I bought a year's supply of coffee and it came in bags, and I figured I have the Mylar bags. It'll probably store better for a year in Mylar than it would in the coffee bags. So I Mylared coffee, and really it's kind of short term, but I Mylared it. The next one is like dehydrated potatoes, all different kinds of potatoes. One of my most asked questions with my short-term layer is, what the heck are these things? How do you use them? All the questions. So these are 60-pound Gamma Seal dog food containers. They're pest proof, they're heavy duty plastic. I talked about them in the module, and these are them. I store all of our snacks in one. This is sugar and brown sugar. You can see everything is still in the package because it's super easy to clean, then it's not getting in all the cracks. This is flour, and that one is noodles and rice. You can get them at any big box store or pet food store. On this side of my root cellar, I keep all of our store-bought goods. This is the side that I don't really show as much because people normally come here for the homesteading, and this doesn't seem very homesteading, but I'm going to show you all of it. Down here we keep all of the paper towels and toilet paper. Obviously we don't go out and buy this all the time, but like every other trip we buy another pack. This is all of the condiments that we use. Peanut butter. My kids love mandarin oranges, so I keep a whole like flat of them. Obviously I have kids, we have mac and cheese. Beans, my husband loves them. We use them for when we grill out in the summer. Just some extra canned goods. There's really not much. We have some peas, some pineapple, some tuna, hot chocolate mix, which is so great to keep in your preps because it doesn't have to make hot chocolate if you don't want. It could also make chocolate milk, and your kids would be so happy with you, I'm sure. I buy this from Azure Standard. It is, this is the only tomato product that I buy, and it is tomato paste, and I make sure that I buy it in glass jars just because tomatoes can leach chemicals from cans. So we buy all of this in glass. I have a thing of black olives, another box of tuna, some coffee, and some pop. Up here I have paper plates and garbage bags and, you know, like sponges, saran wrap, tin foil, things like that. Q-tips, dishwasher detergent. This is some personal care items, soap, toothbrushes, deodorant, and dish soap. I went ahead and I bought like a year's supply, And so we're just using up from this. Cotton balls, Ziplocs, Epsom salt, and there's baking soda back there. Again, I talked in the previous module about stocking paper plates and how I think it's such a good idea, because even though if you don't use them, you never know when it might come in handy to have paper plates. So now I'm going to show you the top level, which is all of my long-term that I have bought. Okay, this is my long-term number 10 cans. I also have some SpaghettiOs. I talked about that a little bit. If it was actually an emergency, my kids would be happy to eat SpaghettiOs. And there is also some canned chicken that we could use if we were in an emergency. This is like butter powder. I have peanut butter powder, banana chips, peas, cheese. There's some potato shreds and pancake mix all up there. There's a couple of soup mixes, I think like a stir fry. So we have things that are just ingredients, and we have things that could be whole meals. So if you follow me on Instagram, I post this brand a lot, and they are always running deals. I never pay more than probably $15 a can. So easy way to stock up if you're on a budget. Over here is some more of my long-term storage. I have quite a few of these buckets that I did my 5-gallon Mylar bags in. I just have like pasta, salt. This is my seedling rack that's housing all my like appliances and pots and stuff right now until we start seedlings again. On the other side there's like rice and sugar, and I buy bulk salt, and that is all stored in these 5-gallon buckets too. I save these for like a rainy day, and like I said before, sometimes add them in to my short term so they don't go to waste. This is my root cellar. Well, my actual root cellar. Oh, I call over there my root cellar too, but this is where we store all of our produce for the year. Now this area does have some store-bought stuff, because like apples, for instance, we had a terrible apple harvest, and so we had to buy some, but let me show you what I keep in here. So down here is where I keep all of our potatoes. You'll see these are all of our russet potatoes, and these are hardly even sprouting yet, which is pretty amazing because it is almost February. These ones are getting little tiny baby sprouts, which is okay. Again, just means spring is coming, and I'll try to use these ones first. On this side, I have some of more of our water glass eggs. You can see we're getting low now, and hopefully the chickens start picking it up soon. This is some of our squash. I need to do a better job and start eating those, because squash doesn't always last the entire winter, and I can see that some of it is starting to go, but a lot of it is still perfect yet. And most of this came out of my garden in like September, and it's now January. So it's amazing how well things store in here. We have, squeeze, all of our homegrown garlic, and I planted a bunch of this out in probably like around October, and we will have a whole nother harvest come July-ish. And underneath, another rack of potatoes. We have so many potatoes, but that's also a great thing because we can plant the potatoes that we store coming again this spring. Up here, I have bananas. I did not expect bananas to last as long as they do, but they actually store so good in here. I grab the greenest ones I can find at the store, stick them in here. They last at least a month, which bananas don't even last a few days on your shelf. Again, some apples that we had to buy, and some ferments that I did this past summer. A box of onions, you can see they're starting to go, and that is okay. We'll keep using them. Shallots. Down here, we have all of our store-bought citrus. So citrus is another thing that stores great in your root cellar. I mean, we've had these in here. I think we got them in December before Christmas time. Still perfect. We are getting all that good vitamin C right here from our root cellar. We also keep pears, grapefruit, stuff like that. This is honey, the last of the honey that we had from our bees, and some that, oh, don't fall, some that we had bought, but good. Honey keeps indefinitely, so that is awesome. A great thing to have in your pantry. I actually started getting some plants in the mail. So these are roots for ramps that I'm going to be starting out in my grove come springtime. That's exciting. These are some oil-packed tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. So the oil seals them basically, and they keep right here in the oil. You can throw them in pastas or on top of homemade pizza, anything like that. But now not everything is a win here, and I tried to keep celery in my root cellar. You can do it, but you have to remember to water them, which I did not. So, such is life, and let me show you how we made our root cellar. So our root cellar was actually just an old wood room because we have a wood furnace in our basement. And so this was the door that goes outside that people used to throw the wood into. We cut into it, and really this pipe, we originally were going to have a long one so that I could cycle the air back out, you know, suck it up from the bottom and back out the top and whatnot. We just found that it actually stays so cold in here. We need to keep towels to keep everything from freezing. And so we just haven't added the second pipe onto it, but it works great. If you live in a cold climate, you can totally try it. I think that's it. That is my entire food supply. Obviously in our freezers, you know, we have 3 freezers. They are filled with meats. We raise our own chickens, ducks, cows. We get a pig from a friend. Then we have a milk fridge to store all of our milk in. But other than that, that is our food supply. Remember, it does not have to be this massive thing because we regenerate our food supply every single year through our gardens and whatnot. So yes, we do have some store-bought food, but not tons, probably not much more than what you have in your pantry. So I hope you enjoyed seeing how I do my food supply and how my working pantry works. And I can't wait to see how you guys all do it too.